Welcome to Tottenham on Tour. United won the battle. Did Spurs win the war? This is the Two Bryans with special guest, the amazing and the one and only Mr. Brandon Victor Dixon. Welcome to the show, sir, and good to see you. It's been a while. A pleasure to have you on our channel for the first time. We've seen you on our previous channel before, but thank you for coming, man.
No, happy to be here.
Fantastic. Lots to talk about, obviously. What's that? Say it again.
An auspicious day.
It has been auspicious is a good word to describe what the day has been. And of course, my partner in crime, Brian Daigle. How are you, sir? Good to see you.
It's always good to see you. It's a pleasure to see Brad. I've got to say I'm exhausted because as we were just discussing the back end, I completely forgot the times hadn't gone back in Toronto and obviously eastern side of the States and Canada. So I thought I still had an hour spare. I was like, let me just chill for a bit. And I was like, our mates, and it was like, oh no, I've got to get back. And talking to those mates, Brandon, as I said to you before, because you're such a diamond guy, I've got two people that I know are watching it, and they're two friends. Before I moved to Canada, obviously you know my huge love for your show or the show Power. I got so many friends into it, but there are two that are watching right now that I got into it, and they're absolutely obsessed with the show. And they're like, "Oh, can you get him to say hello?" So if you could say hello to Beverly and Wayne, it would make their year.
Well, I'm happy to do so. Shout out to Beverly and Wayne from Terry Silver, aka Deleterious Silver from Power.
Yeah.
Legal advice, or if you need some marital help, Terry Silver.
Nice one, Brandon. That's quality.
Cheers,
that's
Brandon.
Quality.
Also, Brandon, before we start talking Tottenham, I hope all your friends and family and everything were all right with COVID and obviously the pandemic, because we haven't even spoke to you since that even broke.
No, that's true. That is true. And yeah, thankfully, family and friends, everybody's healthy. Everybody's been well. We are fortunately part of the happy majority. So that's good.
Fantastic stuff. So I titled the show, did Spurs win, or did Spurs won the war, not and United won the battle. It's obviously the implication that potentially the 3-0 loss to Man United at the weekend gave us the opportunity. El Sacico, which is what it was bantered about as, was what became true. So we sacked Nuno Espirito Santo, and confirmation came in this morning. And of course, I think most people knew based on Twitter and everything that was going on that it was an inevitability that we would see that happen. And it was just who and what is the plan and where do we see this team going? Firstly, Brandon, I want to ask you, because again, we haven't chatted in a while. It's been a long time because of all the circumstances in the world that's going on. What were your thoughts on Nuno in the first place, and the sacking? Were you happy with it, or did you recognize that football was pretty difficult to watch, and the statistics kind of show that? Give us a bit of a roundup of your thoughts on Nuno's time at Spurs.
So from when he came in, and from jump, I am a self-proclaimed Morinista, which is why I was so angry with a lot of the Spurs fan base for really just, I feel, carrying on a lot of the media bias, bringing that energy into the club, which just made it difficult for a challenging time for the club, right? And so, which created a knee-jerk reaction from the idiot Levy. And I mean, the way that whole thing played out was just so exemplified the club, in my opinion. Yeah, and just to fire Mourinho of all people before a final, and then to go with Mason, and then because clearly you didn't have anybody lined up. Nobody lined up.
72 days before they actually appointed Nuno, who was our 7th or 8th choice.
He was. I feel bad for
shambles.
Nuno.
I do as well.
I didn't want Nuno to get the appointment because I do think Nuno is a good coach. So I thought things would have gone better than they have by now, which would have made me mad because it would have justified the decision. But so I was a little upset at the Nuno appointment because I think Nuno is a solid coach, and I thought things would go better than they have. But the way they have been going, it's really interesting. I was listening to another podcast the other day, and they were saying, well, I mean, it was one of the United fans, and they were saying Spurs are 2 points behind us. And they fired their manager months into the season, and he's like, "What are we doing?" Hence, I guess the title of the program.
Exactly.
Acting early.
Who wants Conte? Who wants Conte? Essentially, like more than the other team.
So I think the sacking made sense to a certain extent, and to another extent, it didn't. It only made sense because he was the wrong coach to begin with.
Yeah, exactly.
It didn't make sense because it is absurd to fire a manager this early into a season. And it also seems to be, not that you can deal with your squad as immediately as you can deal with the manager, but it seems to be a further reflection of the organization. The fan base is coming around, but the organization just not having any real concept of the squad they have and the deficiencies within the squad, both mental and talent-wise, and really where the club really is and what it takes to move the club forward to where the club keeps telling their supporters they want to go.
Yeah.
And so, that's why it was the right thing to do, but it was kind of a wrong and absurd thing to do because we
shouldn't have been there in the first place. Essentially, that's what it comes down to. For me, it was kind of like, well, you created this mess, and now you got to try to fix it, and that's essentially what this potential Conte signing comes down to. Bri, thoughts on the sacking, and then of course we'll get into the rumors of Conte, and I say rumors because it hasn't been confirmed by the club, despite it looks like it based on the people who have said, the people we trust as far as sources are concerned, of the world.
Yeah.
The Spurs, you spoke about it on Tottenham, we were Tottenham TV this morning, in regards to, it's the right people saying it. It's just everywhere. It's going to happen. How do you feel about it? And do you think he gets backed if it does come through? Because I think that's going to be the one thing that I think most Spurs fans are going to struggle with determining is this guy. We did this kind of already with Mourinho, right? And if Mourinho doesn't get back, what makes us think Conte's now going to get back? Nuno leaves, you bring in another top quality manager. What are your thoughts on that?
So I'll break it down in a kind of way. I've been very lucky. Obviously, people know that who have been watching. I'm staying in London for the extra week this week because Simeon from We Are Tottenham TV has gone on holiday, and Ben asked would I like to come and be Simeon basically for a few days.
Big boots to fill, and you're doing a great job, by the way.
So obviously I go on that show a lot. It's where I first spoke to Brandon. I saw him in the back end, and it was like we got talking. That's how I started talking to Brandon, and they do a lot of work. But what you don't see will blow your mind. Obviously, when we watch TV shows, like whoever's on it, you see what's going on, but behind the scenes, you have no idea the work that goes in and everything. And obviously, when I've been watching this, when it happened with Mourinho, like Brandon was saying at the beginning, you just see the tweets coming out, and they come individually. Then you make your own assessment. But when you're there, they are looking at everything. There are so many people looking at who's tweeted what, where's it going, and the news just seems to be coming thick and fast because you're so immersed in it, and you have to focus on what's going on.
Yeah.
So listen, I was at the United game, and we'll get onto the Levy out, I'm sure, and whatever. But this whole thing turned, obviously, that Levy out thing has been growing and growing. And talking to Levy out, Chris Ackenbar, who I said I'll give a huge shout out to when I next see him on our show, because he joined me at the protest on Saturday.
Oh, nice.
So big up to Chris Ackenbar. So it all started just before the protest, or before kickoff. There was a rumor going around that Ben Davies was being selected. No one knew why, but we've kind of found out that apparently he was partying on Friday night for Halloween. And let's face it, he did this under Mourinho with Lamella and Lo Celso at Christmas. So he's kind of got form for it. So whether that is the reason or not, it makes a bit of sense. But when we were there, a lot of people started coming up to us and saying, have you heard the rumour of Davies is starting? Davies is starting. And I was like, oh, no. Like the whole consensus around the whole place. And you could feel the tension as soon as it was confirmed. It was like, what are you doing? Then we were hoping for a fast performance. Obviously, we didn't get that. And then this whole thing, and I think this whole Nuno gone and where we are now, all switched on that Lucas Moura substitution. Because you could hear the boos on any TV network you were watching it on.
It was more than the booze, Brian. It was the "you don't know what you're doing." I think that is like you hear that in a crowd and everybody's singing "you don't know what you're doing," and it's right through the TV. I was watching on TV. I'm sure Brandon was as well. It was just like, whoa, this is a moment. This is a moment. The manager looks like he's out of his depth. He's struggling.
So that boo. I mean, I've been to a lot of Spurs games, but obviously from moving to Israel and then moving to Canada, I didn't get to go as often when I had my season ticket. That was the loudest boo I'd heard, not because of a result like the final whistle or half time, since Campbell returned. Oof. That's how big this boo sounded. But obviously, there's a lot more people in the stadium as well, so that could have been an obvious reason. Then that happened, and the performance on the pitch was disgraceful. Oh. But then when the second and third goals went in and you could hear the Levy out, I mean, for me, it was music to my ears. It was like going to see a concert. Like I always wanted to see Michael Jackson. It was like I'd just seen Michael Jackson.
It's basically everybody singing. Yeah. Right. No, it's not even that. It's basically you're the artist singing on stage and you let the crowd sing your song. Like that's what I was watching. I was like, I know Brian's in that crowd just going, oh my goodness, they're singing my song.
Ben and I had started it before at 1-0, but then a couple of people in front of me started saying, stand up if you hate. So there are little pockets starting to and this would have scared the crap out of him, which is like, oh God, this is now all these rumours and all this. So then obviously we were at the studio on Sunday doing the Good Morning Tottenham and the fan show, or the fan call-in show. And then obviously the news broke that there's immediate talks about his future. And then all that started spreading like wildfire. And do you know what, like Brandon said, I think he's a good coach. He hasn't been backed. He had the whole 75 days. He didn't have a full time with his squad. He had people at the Euros.
It's a broken squad. It's a mentally broken squad.
It is,
for
sure.
Completely.
And they by going through 8 people before they hired him. So it's
he's undermined from the very beginning, right? Yeah.
Exactly. And it's not just that. You've seen it with Mourinho. You've seen it with Poch. These players know, because we keep them for so long, if we don't like this manager, well, we'll just do whatever we want. We'll see him off, and then we win, and we'll carry on having this kind of party. The news broke. I mean, if you look at it, as a manager, he deserved more time because he wasn't backed. He didn't get the time. He didn't get. But then when you look at the fact,
he was also miserable too. Like he wasn't.
Mate, he's a broken man. You know what? He left Wolves. He didn't sound particularly happy. I mean, it was part of the ways. But then he came here. The first thing he had to do is walk into that Harry Kane saga, which is bigger than anything he would have had to deal with in his career. It's like, oh, here we go. But he wasn't. Either way, when you look at the stats, and let's take Tottenham out of it. If you were to say 3 games where you haven't had a shot on target, 4 defeats to London rivals or whatever city rivals, where the scores and the performances have been absolutely abysmal. The promise of attacking football from the owner and above to that, there were so many things that was just it would happen at any team with those kind of stats, like 20th for distance run. Burnley having more attacking prowess, like Burnley, and
just no effort, from most of the squad.
If we had a job like I was in customer services and I was a team leader, and my team were way below targets, their efficiency wasn't very good, their punctuality wasn't very good, the manager's going to sack me. It's like, goodbye, you are not fulfilling your expectation. Mm-hmm. So the writing was on the wall, and I don't know if you two have heard. I've got myself into I said something very stupid on We Are Tottenham TV.
Too bad. I was going to ask you about that.
We were talking about Antonio Conte yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. It started coming up that Conte, and I was like, oh, yeah, of course, this is Daniel Levy doing his normal hot air, and then we'll go elsewhere.
You were right last
time. And I said live on air, if Antonio Conte signs for Tottenham Hotspur, I will get the We Are Tottenham TV logo tattooed on me.
I mean, that's not the worst TV. I thought it was something negative, like it was like a Levy in tattoo.
No, mate, I'm not that stupid. Well, I'm not that stupid. I may be crazy. I may be crazy. I'm not stupid. And then obviously this has gone on and gone this way. The one time that Levy may come through is the one time that I say, do you know what? It's just mind-blowingly typical. Yeah. So it looks like I'm doing that.
It looks like you're doing that.
Where do you have to get it is the question. Where's the tat going?
So I started asking people in the street. For some reason, I want it here. I don't know why, but I'm thinking here. That's one, or bit on my lower back. We're thinking somewhere, but we were asking people on the stream. Then you had the funny people saying in places you can only.
Yeah, I heard something about on you. Yeah, I don't want to even get into
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
I was like, oh man, what is Brian agreed to?
Or to get it on my ass and what I was like, listen, I said I can't get it on my forehead because I'll probably A, my parents will kill me, B, my wife will divorce me, and I'll probably get a job interview with an Arsenal fan, and it'll be like, oh, okay, bye bye.
Yeah.
So there's a few places, but it looks like if this is confirmed tomorrow, it's
happening. Well, we'll have to do a special just quick stream about it to show it off on the channel because
so Ashley, who is Ben's fiance, tweeted this morning, Brian, looks like you're getting your tattoo. And I was like, listen, I'm a man of my word. Like I said, I'll be here for the NFL protest in London. I was here. And then whilst we're doing this stream, I spoke to my tattooist in Toronto, a great guy at Scoot Inc. And then I had Ashley say, by the way, there are 2 tattooists in Potter's Bar, which is where near the studio. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay. So she's very, very pro me getting it immediately. So if this happens tomorrow, it may even happen tomorrow. But I did say, Brian, if I have to have it done in Toronto, you'll be with me to film it.
Oh, I'll have to be with you for sure. I'll film the whole thing. It'll be hilarious. Just before we get into anything else, and I want to get into Brandon's. I'm running that thing across the bottom of the screen. Will Conte succeed at Spurs? I want to understand what Brandon thinks about that, and of course yourself, Brian.
I'll do that. I'm just going to the bathroom, and I'll be right back.
And I want to shout out to the people in the comments. So David Bisco's here with us, Wayne Bonner, good to see you, buddy. The regulars here, Tony Chesters, Andy Lloyd, Paul Brown, George, Jason D, good to see you, buddy. Chris Agambar as well is always here. I think I've done that. Chacha Indian Spurs, new to the stream for me. Anyway, I haven't seen him, but good to see you here, mate. So, Brandon, the question to you: will Conte succeed at Spurs? We know what Conte is capable of, right? He's basically won a trophy at every club he's been at. He's always really, really strict with his what he expects of his players at a very, very high level, but really rarely lasts a very long period of time. I think his longest period is like two years and change at any club.
No, he's the next iteration of Mourinho in many respects.
Does he have a similar name to what do you call it? Mourinhoistas? Is there a Contista or something?
Mourinhoistas. I don't know if Conte's got a crew like that. You know,
right. I think maybe you start that, Brandon. You know, you knock one out.
Mourinho might engender a bit more love along with the hate, whereas I think Conte just generates the hate.
Really? Is that Because I watched a stream from a Chelsea supporter. I don't know if you know him, Rory. I can't think of his last name. Rory. Anyway, he's got a massive big channel, and he's on the kickoff, and he's on a bunch of stuff. And he did a stream, and he was like, I absolutely love the man. So I do think that there is some Chelsea supporters who think of him at a high level. Yeah,
look, Chelsea supporters tend to be loyalists for the people who win trophies. Yeah. So they still have a lot of love for Mourinho too. Will Conte succeed at Spurs? I'll be honest with you. I think it's possible that he will, primarily because at this point, I don't see how De Boer, Levy, I don't see how they don't give him time and how they don't back him. I mean, apparently it's only an 18-month contract, which is weird. But
18 month with the ability option to extend if he wants. And but that's arguably goes to what you're saying, Brandon, is that they're literally giving him what he wants. Is that I'll come for 18 months and I'll see if it's something I want to do. But if I'm done in 18 months and it's like you guys haven't given me what you want, it's an easy out, right? So maybe that's the case.
I think that might be what's there. And like I said, at this point, like Levy, the board, they can't do what they did last time, and they can't do what they did with Mourinho. So they're going to have to back him, and they're going to have to give him some time. One, there aren't other managers out there to get, and you have a proven manager who you didn't back before and who you didn't give time, and those decisions have proved disastrous. And everything he said about the squad was absolutely true. Mm-hmm. And what was so weird is that the most important members of your squad were on Mourinho's side and agreed with him.
Yeah.
When you got rid of him, those cats, Kane said, "Get me out of here."
Yeah.
Get me out of here. And you didn't do that, which is why you've lost kind of the whole squad. So they can't do what they did before. So they're going to have to back Conte. And if they really do back Conte, Conte should create some level of success. Now, I don't know that enough can be done in the 18 months to make Conte stay and to make Tottenham actually competitive, because we're miles off with the squad from City, from Liverpool, from United. Like, after United match against Liverpool, and they were all coming to the Spurs, and they were all worried, I was like, it's a stronger squad than Spurs. It's a squad with far more individual pride than Spurs. I was like, and United, when they're backed into a corner, they almost always come. You score a goal early on.
It's kind of what Ole does. Like, he gets them to a really shitty place and then finds a way to get back out of it again and keeps his job.
I knew Tottenham was going to beat Manchester United in this match, considering where Tottenham is and all the rumors surrounding Nuno, and how the players always respond to rumors surrounding the manager by downing tools because they know it's only a matter of time. So you knew they were going to lose that match. And so, I think it is possible, but it's really a roll of the dice, because it's going to be hard to develop the amount of success needed, and I think to show Conte you're willing to do what's necessary to increase the quality of the squad and the quality of the performances and the quality of the standing within 18 months. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a tough one. So it does come back at the obvious answer to it is, if he gets backed, then there's potential belief, right? And the rumors that are saying that he's going to get 100 million to spend in January, and that's going to be the starting point of him sort of attempting to rebuild the squad. And I also think it's like, who can you get rid of in January? And also that's a really
100 million in January. I don't know.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Here's what I would say about it, Antonio Conte and his ability to attract players. If he's in this job and he's given the freedom that he deserves to do what he wants to do, because he's been so successful at it, players will want to come. And if that is an inevitability, players will go, oh shit, something's changed here. And of course, we have to see from now until that point in January, the players we currently have also change. So they'll need to be going from like looking like they're complete shit, not interested at all, to this is a manager we want to play under, and we need to go up the league, get ourselves close to, in that top 4 position or right on the edge of it. And then, I think there'll be players, and they'll be, hopefully with Paratici and Antonio at sort of the helm of it, you'll see an opportunity. I don't think maybe won't even spend the 100 million, but if he's given it and we get some of the players, or there's a potential for those players to come in, then there's I don't know. It makes me feel like, okay, something's changed here. If that doesn't happen, then we're back to where we started. Brian, any comments on that?
Yes, I mean, this will be quite a lot. I'll try to keep it as short as possible. It may be a little bit. You got to look at it right now. If you look at it outside of Tottenham, if this does go ahead, every single team in Europe are like, wow, Conte's there. Because when you talk about Conte,
it's a huge appointment if it happens.
You are talking the three potentially big super managers in European football right now are there.
They're the three best. They're the three best. It's Klopp, Pep, and
Pep,
Conte.
and so Conte, on that part, it makes everyone else like, oh God, this is big. They've gone and done it. Then you look at it from, obviously, we're going to talk about the man who the parasite. He needs to be backing him. If he doesn't back him, if this, put it this way, if this falls apart now, he hasn't got a leg to stand on. The whole ground will be, that's it, done. It's you.
It's all apart right now.
There you go.
It's almost like it would be better if that happened, because it means he would potentially be put in a position where he'd have to quit or he'd have to sell.
Put it this way,
like that happens, and that would be the wish, right?
If that happens, I'll get Brandon to call Tommy and Ghost, and we'll sort it out. It'll be all done and dusted. But then you look at it. Then you look at it. If he's back, then if he is back, yes, we say we've got 100 million. Is that 100 million that he can go and buy and say, right, I'm spending 80 million on this dude and 20 on this dude? Or is it, right, you got 100, you need to get all your players in, every position you need? Is how we can allocate that money.
Yeah.
The other thing you got to look at is the most important thing. Like I said, when we had the transfer window, for me, it wasn't the players we bought in, it was the players we ship out, because there is a Deadwood there is a poison there, there's a bad attitude. So is there in that agreement that he has as well? We all know about agreements with Levy. Let's hope they're all written down. Right. That let's say he can sell players that he doesn't deem necessary for the money that gets offered. So if we've heard this stupid number of 40 million for Winks. If a bid, let's say, came in for 18 million and Conte wants it, does he have the permission and Paratici to go, yep, you're going for 8? This is another big thing. And we all do know that if Conte, like he did at Inter Milan, is not happy with anything, he will just get up and walk. It's not even about the money. He won't wait to be sacked. He'll go, goodbye, see you later. So what we do know he will bring trophies. Like Mourinho should have done, or should have at least had the opportunity to have that Carabao Cup game. Whether he would have won it or not, one thing would have been for sure, it would have been a better performance. I see Conte as like the modern day Mourinho in his essence, that he comes, he spends millions, he wins, he goes. He's not a manager of longevity at any club. It's been seen. So it's whether he does that. Dele Alli will be shitting himself. Good. I expect those that hairstyle to be gone like the day after tomorrow. If he's in, it'll be like the buzz cut army ready to go. I believe it will get the best out of Harry Kane. I think you will see an immediate response from Harry Kane. But again,
response from Harry Kane immediately, absolutely.
This is why, and like Wayne Bonner said, he said if we had only gone and done this in the summer, we would have saved ourselves exactly what we're going through now. So. The other thing you got to think, he's going to play 3-5-2 or 3-4-3, which I've been wanting to see Tanganga in that right centre back position, which I think is his all day long.
And with the players we have, I'm sorry to interrupt, Brian, but I just have to say, with the players we have, with Romero, who was really good in a 3 for Atalanta, with Davinson Sanchez, who was one of his best seasons, was in a 3 at Spurs with Jan and Toby. So you have players there that are good, and then you also have, and then of course some of the players who are playing in those wing back positions, like from Wolves. Oh God, I can't even think of his name because he's so bad. But he was Doherty. So Doherty had his best season playing a wing back with a 3. And you bring this player in, and you don't even try to set up that way. So here's an opportunity to get the best out of shit players that have not performed with the right system.
He's been garbage on the right side of a 4 or as a wingback.
No, I know, but he doesn't defend. If on the right side of a 3 is a wingback where he doesn't actually have to defend, you might get the best of him. That's all I'm saying. And of course, I would only expect that for the short time that he would be with the club, and I would expect that Conte would be like, "Get out of here, you're crap." So, but I'm just saying, like for the period of time, for the next couple of months, can we do that? Go on, Bryce,
what you got to remember as well is playing. We talk about how our squad depth is like non-existent because of the lack of depth. Yeah. Playing 3 at the back actually suits the players that we actually do have now.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I mean. Yeah.
But there was someone that was mentioning even Lucas could become a right back, like wing back, like he did with Victor Moses, because he's got all the attributes. He'd be brilliant. The pace, the power, the stamina, the determination.
I worry about his crossing ability. That'd be my only issue with him there. But
the thing is, with that, it allows Emerson because if Tanganga goes into that right centre back, you've got Emerson and Lucas that can rotate, or you can put Lucas elsewhere. If you go 3 in the middle, he can play either in attacking games, he can maybe go Højbjerg or Skip and then play Lo Celso and Ndombele, or if he needs to go defensive, he plays Højbjerg and Skip and plays one of them. The only concern I have, and I heard it on another stream, and I can't remember where it was, the one person that may be worried is Brian Hill. And I'm not saying that because you got to remember, he's a winger. And if we go back 3 or get Conte, he does not play wingers. Now, the good thing with Hill is he's got versatility, so maybe he'll go into a free role, or
he could play in that 10. He could play behind the for sure.
Exactly, because we don't play wingers. But the great thing to take out of this is you will see, unlike Nuno, and this is the difference in Nuno and a Conte. When we first got Harry Kane back, he was so determined to get a 4-3-3, 4-3-3, and it does not work with Harry Kane. The first game against Man City,
that was his failure.
Exactly. So
that was his failure. Had he dropped Harry Kane and stuck with a 4-3-3 and then said, Kane, if you're going to play this is what you need to do, and had some determination, I don't think he would have been sacked.
Well, this is the thing. So you're looking at it that way, but Conte will come in and go, right, I've got Harry Kane. He'll have that talk like kind of Jose did that we saw in the documentary. Not exactly, but say, right, listen, I'm here now. I can guarantee you the players I want to cut. and immediately, and he will go, I've got the best number 9 in the league, probably the best in Europe, if
He
not
said
one of
it,
the best
by the
in
way,
the world.
in comments. I don't know if you've seen them posted the last
Yep.
day and a half. He's like, Harry Kane is in the box for me. He's a world class. Like his finishing is insane. He is going to live in that box if I ever get to manage him.
Exactly. And
Cool
then you know what? There was a. I've retweeted it. There was a caption that Conte has said, not during this Tottenham, but within his career, and it spoke volumes to me for 2 reasons. Where he said, "Winners find solutions, losers find excuses."
Yeah,
and
100%.
You look at that, and within 6 words, he has made the fans jubilant to think this is it. And the second message is all these players that think they've had a free ride, that time is gone. It's over. So the 18 months worries me, but with the extension. But I was looking at it saying that's what Levy's offering him. But now that
I think it's the other way around. Yeah,
maybe, exactly. Maybe he's saying, do you know what? I know what you like.
Yeah. I don't want to sign 3 years. Because I got other things I want to do. Show me what you got, or I'm out.
That's why I think it's come down to. When you look at it that way,
that's who he is, right?
When you look at it that way, it makes a lot more sense than Levy saying that to him than rather, because Levy's now got to bow down and say, right, this is it.
Yeah,
I've got to. And the next 24 hours, I mean, I'm
failing to give him what he asked for. He's going to do it.
Yeah,
he's got to. He's got to. The one thing I'm very worried about is it was leaked or published, whatever you want to say, that the players that he had in mind, being a Vlahovic, and there were other players. So I was like,
wait. So, Brad, you brought this up. So let's just quickly go through it, because I brought this up thinking like we should talk about this.
Look at the
preparation going on in the background here. So Milan Skriniar was one of them. Ivan Perisic. Yeah, Ivan Perisic, who's fantastic player. Really, really I don't know why this is on the list, and I'm going to skip it because that's crazy. Nemanja Matic, that can't be true. No, this has got to be old. I'm looking at the wrong link. I'll get the right link. Sorry about that. But Vlahovic would be incredible. He's one of the first ones. And Perisic are both. Let's start with Skriniar. Let's start with those first couple of players. And what do you think they would bring to the squad? And that's the level we should be at, right? If we're talking about where we want to be as a squad and the type of players we want to bring in, those are the level of players. We're not looking at the no offense to Joe Rodon, because I think he's a better player. He's been given credit for him, not been given the chance. But we need to go with proven players. These are proven players. These are players that will play under this guy's system and understand how to do it, how to execute, and play with the right kind of level that we need to see in this side. Either one, Brandon. You talk about.
You go first, Brandon.
That will pour out of me if Conte comes in here and he gets players like Skriniar and Brozovic and Vlahovic. I will be incensed.
Yeah,
because it's.
Why is it taking so bloody long to do this properly?
Yeah, and it doesn't make any sense that you would. I hate this guy. I'm really on Brian's level at this point. Like,
Go on, Brandon.
I'm so
same page, brother. Same page.
That you would bring in a Mourinho and not do the things that you had to do, not get the players he asked you to get, and then when you didn't get the players, not give him the time he asked you for when you asked to not back a guy like that and to sack him midseason, and then you're gonna to do all this, spend all this money on Nuno, and then you're gonna try to get Conte, refuse to give him what he wants, go get Nuno, eat shit, and now you're gonna go get Conte and buy him all the players.
But I think, Brandon, it's a panic move, right? Like, he's recognizing that he's gotten to a point now where he's losing any kind of faith he had with supporters, and he's panicking a little bit. And I mean, that's not a good thing to act from that perspective, but it is good for, at the very least, we're hoping that. I think there's an influence from Paratici here that is probably dictating this situation, because I think, there's the rumor, the conversation point that he left after the second goal. Yeah, the second goal, and he stormed out. He was pissed off about it. He was like, "This is ridiculous."
That I don't really understand.
Well, I do. I think it comes down to him recognizing that how shambles we actually are, and he was kind of like, "I'm done with this. This is ridiculous. How is this happening?" It's an intensity from a person who wants to win, and you want that. You want the people.
It's Manchester United, though. Like, he couldn't have expected to play well.
I think he probably does. I think there's naivety, right? I think there's naivety from anybody who's seen Spurs under Pochettino and sort of seen a bit of up and down since, haven't really gotten there, got to a final. Like, it's not, if you haven't watched them like we watched them, there might be that naivety from him. But when he's watching this season, he's like, oh, this is what we are. This is the team that I'm playing. Oh my God, what have I got myself into? And he's gone to leaving. He's like, look, Conte's it, and he gets everything he wants. Hopefully that's the case, because you hired me to do this job, and if you don't give me that opportunity to do the things that we have to do to get to the point you think you say you want to, then I'm also out. Like, I could see that, like, putting that enough it's pressure, right? Like, if you brought this person in to be a football director and you don't give him the tools he needs to succeed, and then you blame him for hiring a sixth choice manager, and he goes, no, that was your idea, that's what you were willing to spend, that's not me, this is the guy I want, this is Conte, give him the money, make it happen. And I'm hoping that's what happened. Of course, it's wishful thinking, it's all we have as Spurs fans, but it does look like that when you're looking at it on paper. Brian, you wanted to add?
Yeah, no, so what I'll say with Paratici is I can see that happening because I've watched loads of documentaries about the Italian football and the English people that have gone there, and Juventus have done their documentary like we did.
Yeah.
And in Italy, if they lose a game or perform badly, they don't get to go home Saturday night. They go away on a training camp or Sunday night. They literally won't go home. They have to call their wives and say, listen, I'm going to be gone 2-3 days. We are training. Whereas here, it's just like they have a bad day, they take their money, they go home.
And then they're all smiling on that training pitch the next day, like everything's. And then you get all the propaganda from Tottenham in all of their social media. Like, look at the players happily training for the weekend, and you're just going, "Fuck you guys, man! Like, we're miserable right now. You cannot have that smile on your face and pretend like everything's okay, because that's bullshit."
So someone also added on We Are Tottenham. I'm sure it was on We Are Tottenham TV today as well. They said, you know how you said to me just now about the contract with Conte and Levy, who said what? There's someone saying, and I actually kind of think there's a lot of ground to this. I think when he walked out and came back in, I think Paratici said, listen to me, get Nuno or I walk. Because obviously having to deal with this kind of thing. So I can't, it's all conspiracy, but there's certain things that have a bit of weight to it. And I think that one has a bit of weight. I completely agree with Brandon when it comes to not backing Jose. You scouted this guy for 20 years. You've got a complete CV, knowing at close quarters at Man U and Chelsea.
Fucking cup final.
No,
man.
Forget the cup final, but you've scouted him for 20 years.
On his contract, like, you can never guarantee that the person you bring in is going to get you trophies, is going to get you grateful. You can never guarantee that the confluence of things that are there are going to immediately change when you bring somebody in. But you can guarantee that you brought in somebody who is worth investing in their plan. Like, that's all you can do. And to not do that is the most ridiculous decision
it's a failure.
in the world.
Yeah,
like,
it's a failure.
It's particularly to do it after Poch. Like, it's because it's like, again, the Poch reign was so successful to an extent. He showed you so much. And then when he told you the players have to be recycled, you don't listen to the cat that helps you do all the things you all your success. You sack him. You bring in the guy you sought after forever, and that guy tells you definitively the cat you just sacked was correct. You need to fix these things. You don't do them. You look like crap, and you blame him. That's crazy. That's crazy.
So spot on, Brandon. I mean, I don't think I could say it any better myself. It's this ongoing cycle of nonsense from the leadership.
It goes a little bit further, like you were saying, Brandon. He scouted him for 20 years, and he's seen him. Let's do it. Porto, Chelsea, Inter Milan, Real Madrid, Chelsea, Manchester United, back to us. At every single job, Mourinho comes, Mourinho spends hundreds of millions, he wins silverware, he leaves in a bad way. He has seen that at every single job. So if you're going to get him...
Last two. Chelsea and Manchester United. Prior
yeah, but he won the trophy, he got the players he wanted, and...
He still won trophies at both those
games. Yeah, he still won trophies.
Only ended badly at Chelsea and Manchester.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's literally, this is what he needs. He's got this on his CV. You give back him, you've got, and then to get him after 20 years of knowledge, Conte is a shot in the he's a relatively newer manager than where Jose was in his career. Yes, he's had the same kind of thing with big owners that have spent money, but he has also developed people. I mean, you look at the difference in Lukaku. from when Man U left him, sold him, to what he did at Inter, and now what we're seeing at Chelsea. He's developing.
But at the same time, I mean, he knew how to use what was obviously there with Lukaku. Lukaku fell off when Oli came in, and Oli doesn't know what to do about anything. So, like, that's not a... Lukaku's been one of the most consistent strikers since he became a professional, and his numbers and his achievements rank up there with, like, Ronaldo and Messi and his rate of scoring, but nobody gives him that level of respect. So we always kind of talked about him in this ebb flow way. But when Conte took a hold of what was there and maximized it. And so, yes, Conte's a great coach. Like, he's a great coach if you will listen to what he tells you, but not everybody likes to do that.
That's going to be the challenge, right? We'll talk about this a little bit if you guys don't mind. The challenge of getting the squad that we have, the current squad that Spurs have right now, we know there's a shit ton of dead wood. It is full of a bunch of players who are just playing for their contracts, playing for the money, not playing for the badge, not playing for the club. It's a massive issue. It's something that I actually thought that Mourinho might sort out to some extent. I guess he kind of did in a way, but it was really slow. You know, like there's
identified the issues, but
he identified it, and that's a good show, Brandon. I think that's a good way to put it. He's like, oh, look at all this crap. Conte has to be the manager that will make it happen because he demands it. He won't accept a contract. He's literally said that in the summer when he said a no to the initial offer that the Spurs gave him. I'm not going to accept this contract. You guys don't have the ambition that I have as a manager. Mm-hmm. And if he's now accepting it, I can't see him being a manager who is not going to he won't sign if he isn't getting it. He'll just be like, fuck you guys. I'll get another job. I'll wait till Oli to fail because it's inevitable, and I'll go to Man U. Well, they will give him money for it, right? What are your thoughts on that, Brian? Do you think it's he's going to get backed, right?
I hope so. What we've got to do.
I know this is a hard question for both of you guys.
First of all, after this, we've got to answer a few questions because people are asking, "Are we answering questions?" So we'll go through a few of them before.
Yeah, let's do that after this one. Yeah.
Before we talk about, but the thing I was saying is in January, I think people are saying if you look at the obvious positions. We need another centre-back, like a rock-hard, like a Skriniar, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
We definitely need an attacking midfielder, as we know, and we need a second striker. So we were talking about not who it is, but what positions out of those three, if we could get two, are most essential. And for me, it was the number 10 and the backup striker, or the second striker, let's say, if we're playing the two. And for me, the number one target out of all of it is getting a backup for Kane immediately, because if he gets the injuries, if he does lose form, we can say, right, out you come. And it has to be Vlahovic. There's no ifs, buts, maybes. It's Vlahovic. And the attacking midfielder, I don't really know, because we may see the three at the back may release Tanguy, may release what we potentially
Conte's praised Tanguy too, by the way. He's like,
exactly.
In the past, he's like, I really would love to manage this guy, which is going to be interesting because we know Tanguy's affinity for being a lazy prick, or at least seemingly to be an amazing lazy prick. That's the perception. So
obviously Tanguy can respond to hard management. He can respond to somebody who believes in him and drives him.
Yeah, and that's the hopeful situation that Conte will be able to get the best of him, because that's what we need. All these players who are dead wood, or all these players who are not playing at the level they should be at, including the Harry Kanes of the world. What do you got, guys? Like, here you go. Here's the best man, one of the best managers in the world at the moment, the best available manager at the world in the world at the moment. Show us what you got. Like, if you really want to play football at the highest level with a really good manager at a good club, here's your opportunity to do it, and we'll know immediately in the first 3 or 4 games what we're looking at, and who's going to hopefully be sort of cleared out in that January transfer window, and in the summer, of course, as well.
So let's do some of these questions. I'll go through. I'm going to go through bottom to top because it's so.
So scroll up. Just to let you guys know, I've invited Bobby to Bob Spur. He's going to probably join us.
Fantastic. Well, so the first one, we'll go round table. We'll start with you always, Brandon, then Brian, then we'll go to myself. So the first one is from Bait Bobby, and it's, if Conte can tell wait a minute, is that even a question? If Conte can call Roman a knobhead, the defo will call Levy the knobhead if he doesn't give him what he wants. I laugh at Levy if he doesn't back Conte. So yeah,
it's about the backing, right? Like, and this is what it comes down to. This is the question we all want.
Yeah. it's about the club. It's really about Levy and the board because
are they going to give him what he needs?
The manager is capable if you give him what he asked for. So
yeah, absolutely.
So I'm going through these questions. I'll tell you what I'll do, because I can't see which one's the question. If you tag at Tottenham on Tour and then say a question, it will highlight for us, and then we'll get those questions answered, because we've got a few people in the chat, and let's start answering some questions. And I know Bobby will be joining shortly. So start getting your questions in. Just put at Tottenham on Tour and fire away with the questions.
Or at Darren, or at Brandon, or Brian, or at Brian. Brian 1 and Brian 2. I'm Brian 1, by the way. He's Brian 2.
Yep, I'll allow you to have that.
Yeah. So, well, what do you guys want to chat about more before we get more questions? And I guess the biggest question for me is does the backing happen? And from what we've seen, Brandon, what's your confidence level on whether the backing happens or not? Is it something you think is, like, based on what we're seeing, the numbers, the rumors, like if he signs, it has to be the case, right?
Because of the confluence of events, I think he will get back. I think after the what's been revealed behind the failures of the decision making and evaluation, the handling of Poch, the failures of the handling of Jose Mourinho and the decision making behind that, I think the failure of that, the clear sign that Kane, your leader, and son of your best players were infuriated at how you operated during that time, and then you brought in Nuno, which was completely uninspiring, against the wishes of the fan base, against the wishes of your director of football, against the wishes of your most popular and effective players, so that to get to this point and be forced to sack midseason, to be forced to do so, and then to really go hat in hand back to Conte, the cat you pussyfooted around with before, both for your fan base in order to sell tickets, and like to go back to him, they have to back him. Now, will they back him as fully as is necessary to go where everybody wants to go? Who knows? But I think they will back him in order to see you'll see some sort of development or rise in the next 12 months. There will be some level of backing and some growth there. I don't know if, because the chasm is fairly wide, so I don't know if it'll be enough in that period of time, but it's just like, it looks like they've been pushed into a corner, and it will at least look like he's being backed.
I think the perception is everything too, and I think Jose Mourinho, when he came in, it looked like he was being backed initially, but then we sort of it almost like it slowed down the backing. It didn't.
When Jose came in, look, Jose was very on. He's like, look, I like the squad. There are changes and there are things they did.
He wasn't as demanding as Conte is, right?
Because he said he understood where the squad was. He had conversations with Levy and the board. He's like, so we understand this is a project, right? It's the issue is, like, if you're not going to spend the extra 10 million to get Skriniar in, or to bring in a Perisic, if you're not going to sell Dele, if you're not going to do these like little
simple things,
then you have to give him time. Like you can't get one. You've got to do one or the other. You either got to give me money and we're going to be a short-term project, or you're going to say, no, we can't spend that money. So that means, okay, you got to give me time, and you have to endure watching the people that you didn't want to replace, like Davies and like Dyer, throwing awful performances. And we've got to endure this until we get some more players, and you allow me to develop, and you allow me to remove some of the people who mentally sap the ambition, the talent, and the higher abilities of some of the members of the squad. It's true. There are a lot of members of that squad with a solid amount of talent, but the mental frailties and the emotional frailties of some of the other people in that squad bring everybody down. And so you've got to work through the hard stuff. And so yeah.
So just a quick thing, Brian, before you comment here, I'm looking at Twitter as we do this, because of course it is like things are always happening. So last word on Spurs, shout out to those lads, posted breaking, of course, because it's the thing that gets everybody's attention. Tottenham Hotspur's hierarchy have satisfied all of Antonio Conte's requests, including all guarantees in the upcoming transfer market. Total agreement reached. Now, I don't know, it's not a club statement, and of course I always want to wait for a club statement. It's like Bobby always says, is wait till they're wearing the shirt, which I think is an important thing to do. But I do think that this is going to get over the line, and we're going to see it. So it sort of just goes to the conversation of what we're talking about. Does he get backed? He's insisting on it. Like, he's not going to not get backed from his perspective. Now, what happens, Bri, and this is what we've seen in previous situations, does he get back, or does Levy do his Weasley business stuff that he normally does and says he's going to do one thing and just does the other?
He's been backed? That's the real thing. Does he feel he's been backed, whatever Levy and them do? That's the other thing. Like,
yeah, for sure. Bri, thoughts on that?
Well, it leads on to this question that I'll have my quick say, then I'll get Brandon to answer it from Mr. DP. I honestly think with Conte, knowing how Conte operates, knowing how important it is to him that he has control, and seeing what's happened with management and seeing what's happened with Harry Kane, everything is going to be written in stone. Everything is going to be looked over by more than one lawyer before anything is signed. And I think if it's not written down in that contract, he doesn't sign, which is kind of my answer to the question for you here, Brandon, which is from Mr. DP saying, like you, he's a fan of Jose, but why do you think Conte will be any different?
Conte will be different because of having gone through the experience of having Mourinho. It's the confluence of things. It's the Poch experience, the Mourinho
stacked on top of each other, right? It's eventually getting to a point.
Conte will be different. Now, how different? I don't necessarily mean different to the trophy will be won, but I think that there will be a greater level of tolerance for whatever ups and downs there are, and that I think will allow for an aggregate arise.
Yeah, and Brian, if you don't mind, I'm just going to add to David Bisco's question here because it's kind of the same one. And he says if Levy has lied about signings to potential managers, but used we tried, but talks broke down so many times, why do we think he's not going to use it again? And it goes to sort of the same chat, right? Like, what's different this time? And I think, just from my perspective, I think the difference is Conte himself. I think that he's the difference in what he will accept. He's not signing that contract unless he knows he's getting what he wants, and he's only going to go for as long as he wants, recognizing that he could get completely screwed again. And he's like, no, this is only going to happen. Right? Go ahead, Brendan.
Brian, one actually, I was going to say your point about Conte himself also being a difference maker is a thing too, because also I think part of it is Conte is coming from winning the league at Chelsea, then going to Serie A and winning the league and bringing Inter back to, and whereas Mourinho was coming off of, sure, he won trophies at Manchester,
but it was Europa League and like the League Cup, not.
And he was trashing him too. So like Mourinho was coming back and also presenting a different, I'm going to be patient with the squad, I'm going to be patient with the club. He was presenting a different, and he was not coming in to be how Mourinho usually is. Yeah. Whereas Conte is coming in to be Conte. And
Conte's at his peak right now. As a manager, he's the best version of himself.
And he can say, take it or leave it.
For Mourinho, that was like 10 years ago. So it's a totally different situation.
But
yeah.
So I'll take the next one, then I've got one for you, Brian. But this one I'm the answer. I'm not answering because it was about Dybala. And I watched this one like a hawk, and it's from both saying, what are our thoughts on Dybala? Now, that transfer just shows what Levy was like with this 14 million image rights and not paying it. And then he wanted to do it on the last day of the season, knowing he wouldn't get it over for the line. And then he sacks Poch and then pays him 14 million to get rid of him, and then gives Jose more money so when we had no money. I love Dybala. I think he is a great player and offers so much versatility, but I think that deal's dead now because there are so many players that want to come to us now, like a James Maddison, like Benteke when he went to Liverpool, that don't want to come because they've dealt with Levy and this has happened. I think this deal
difference. He does.
I think my personal opinion, I think this deal is dead in the water, but I would absolutely love to have him at Tottenham. But would I want him over Vlahovic? Not right now, because Vlahovic just looks like he is something special. There you go, Brian. And Brian, we'll go for this one. Where is it, sir? If Levy has lied about signing potential managers, but used the "we tried in talks broke down" so many times, why do you think he'll not use it again?
Yeah, this is Brian. This is the one I just brought up.
Sorry, my bad.
It's all good, mate.
They're coming in thick and fast now.
I know. It's hard to keep up. But yeah, I mean, it's for the same reason. It's like, and this was my point, is that the difference between what has happened previously is Conte. Conte in this situation has power. He's in a scenario where he gets to dictate the what happens in that contract and to ensure that the things that happen go to what he wants exactly to happen, because Spurs are desperate to get him in. So Levy has zero control, which he normally does have control. And Levy is normally one of the, he dictates what happens. But because of the shambles that we're in, and having sacked a manager, 10 games in the league into the season, he's looking at Spurs going, look, I can come in and I can do what I can make you guys winners, but here's how that's going to happen. If you don't do this, and this, and I'm sure, and this is why it's taking time. We haven't seen the announcement. We probably won't see it till tomorrow. He's got a list of specifics, and he's going, if this, and this isn't met, I ain't doing it. Because I could have gone to United, or I could wait 10 months and go to wherever I want to go, because I know who I am. That's the difference. So that if he does get some, and it looks like it's going to happen. If he is the next Spurs manager, he's getting the things that he's asking for, which means we're going to see money spent. And I think Levy's going to struggle doing it. He's going to be going, oh God, I don't know what's happening here. I have no control over my club anymore, which is great.
Part of the challenge that's going to be here, though, is that every single club is going to feel like Tottenham is desperate, and that they're caught between a rock and a hard place because Conte is demanding players, which means Levy is not
Brandon.
Dime. He's not going to be able to nickel and dime on these negotiations.
Well,
he's going to feel it's hard for him to pull the trigger.
Yeah, it will be, but at the same time, those players will want to come to Spurs now too. And if it's Vlahovic or whoever else of that ilk, and Paratici's going, Conte wants you here. If you get a call from Antonio Conte, you're going to push a move. So the player power there does come into play on whether the move happens, and the numbers could go down because of that. So there's a little bit of give and take and how those deals get done. And if Conte's project, and he can sell it enough to some of these bigger players who are Vlahovic, I believe his contract's out at the end of the season, he will be available on a free. Right. So, and if Conte sells them that, and of course, Paratici's got to do the same thing, those things can get those players over the line. That's not something you have with Nuno. Even with Mourinho, we had it a bit, but because Mourinho is sort of in the end of his career, or I'd say end of his career, but the sort of the twilight of his career, he's not at peaking. Like Conte is peaking right now. Conte is the third or one of the three best managers in the world. And if Conte says, I want that player, and the player will also find a way, or the agent will find a way, because the agent wants the deal to get over the line.
So just a couple of
money.
Sorry, go Brandon.
Yeah, I was just saying, only if they spend the money, though. It's only if the club is willing to spend the money.
Well, the money has to be spent. It goes both ways, though, right? And I think that's the case. But Conte will say, you told me you'd spend the money. It's in the contract. This is the reason I signed it. So spend the money. Here's the player I want. And then the player goes, I want to go there. And the agent says, well, it's too much money, or not enough money, or whatever. And he's like, no, I want to go there. I want to go play for that club with that manager, because there's something going on that I want to be a part of. It is a massive situation. It could go completely tits up, or it could be an amazing moment for Spurs in our history.
So yeah, we'll go. This is going to be an easy question for me to answer. Then we'll go with you about, you got 100 million to spend. What do you do with it? So first of all, Vlahovic did have one like this contract going out, but he signed an extension when the deal wasn't going through. So he's actually contracted till 2023.
Oh, is he? Okay, my bad.
So it would have been this season, but because of
he still wants to go,
an extension.
Though. Yeah.
So for me, it's him at all costs. I don't even care if it's the full 100. It's him at all costs. And if there's money left over, I don't know the exact player because I haven't had time to.
How much does Vlahovic go for? What's his current?
Well, it was 70 million was the talk.
How much?
That was the talk when he had
70 million
contract. 70, yeah, that was the talk then. But obviously, we'll see what happens. And like we're now at a case, Brandon, where we're going to have to spend it. We've got ourselves in such a corner. We're going to have to go. Well, I don't see him being a backup. I think if we go with the two up top, you could place. So there, and also it gives Kane that chance to rest if he needs a rest. He might limit his time of picking up an ankle injury that we know he gets every year.
You know what?
It will lighten the burden.
This is not the Harry Kane Hotspur. When Conte comes in, it's not about you, Harry, anymore. It's about do you earn your spot in the squad? Because exactly. I am now in charge. No, seriously, based on what he's done so far this season, what happened in the summer, and his lack of quality so far this season. If Conte comes in and he's going to get the best out of Harry Kane. Of course he's going to. But he also will recognize when form isn't working, he'll bring in the right player to put in those positions and play them, because he doesn't do that with players. He never has in any of his other teams he's been at. He's like, if your form isn't good, you're not playing, I'll get somebody else in and I'll get them in. I'll get them to play. So I don't think it's the same situation. I think it's a bit different with Conte.
Let's just make sure we answer this question. So I want to.
Oh, sure. Sorry.
Harry Kane has the tendency right now to take you. So my answer to the question would be Vlahovic at all cost. And if there's any left over, like I said, I couldn't name you the player, but it would be an attacking midfielder. I was
going to ask you, and both of you, I was like, who's our creative player under Conte?
So that's the thing. There's a question just coming which I'll answer very easily, and we'll get you to do it, as both of you to do it as well. Which player would I sell first? Very easy. Dele Alli. Goodbye. So Brandon, you've got 100 million. Who are you spending? And the first person you get rid of?
Well, different from you, I'm spending it on the defense in the midfield, and I'm not exactly sure who I'm getting, particularly in January. But
tough time to buy players in January for sure.
Tough time to buy players, but if I can get a Brozovic in my midfield, I'm doing that in a heartbeat. The mentality and the strength will it will transform the midfield. I think
you need that grit, right?
And if you can get, I would even take a Skriniar in the back and of a backfield. Yeah. Like I would take it, because if you put some real steel in the back, and then you create a little bit more strength and parity in that midfield, I think you begin to maximize the players around you who do have the talent and the mentality to do things. Now, part of this is I think everybody's been too hard on Harry Kane. Because I think Harry Kane has always been a soldier for this club, and Harry Kane was very clear with the club going into last season about how he felt about things and where things were going. And so when you fire somebody like Mourinho right before a final, I think Kane was like, look, okay, we are not on the same page. I told you
guys don't know what you're doing, essentially. You don't know what you're doing.
I'm gone. And I think he had every right, as a professional athlete, I think, particularly if you've given a lot to your club, you have every right to start to pull strings and be like, I'm going to behave in the way I need to get out of here, because the club will always do everything they can to control a player's rights or sell a player when they want. Like sure. They have so I think you have a right to push that. And it didn't happen because of Levy. And he was forced to come back to suffer under these circumstances. And he knew how it was going to be. So I think Kane will switch on pretty quickly because he'll feel that there's something worth working towards and fighting for. But I think you have to kind of give him a pass on the last couple of weeks or of months. You could put blame on the manager for continuing to play him when he's clearly not in alignment. But I wouldn't. I feel like the fan base has been a little too hard on him.
The only thing I would add to that quickly is that if a player is or any person's contracted to a job, you're expected to do your job at the best ability. Now it is hard to get them to when the motivation isn't there because the things they've been promised haven't come to fruition, which I get, and I do get that. I'm going
to stop you there. I'm going to stop you right there.
Sure.
Because someone put it in the tweet, in the message, and I'm going to read. This is 1 minute ago. Okay, it's from Romano. Antonio to Tottenham confirmed, and the three magic words.
Here we go.
Here we go.
It's done.
The contract until June 2023 will be signed on Tuesday. The verbal agreement is now completed. He is back in the Premier League, THFC. When those words have been said by Fabrizio, it's as good as done.
Yeah, I just retweeted it. I'm reading it as well as we're doing this. I'm buzzing, guys. I have to say, Conte for me is everything that Spurs need right now. It's a kick up the ass. It's getting rid of the players that don't want to play because they don't have the energy because they're spoiled little shits. He's the guy who like smashes the ball on the sidelines, the guy who runs down his assistant and goes, "What are you doing? Get over there and do your fucking job." Like that's the manager we need. Jose Mourinho is a version of that, but he's past it. This is different.
But this is the thing. Now, I gotta come at you here, Brian.
Yeah, go chime in, brother. That's what we're here for.
It's so interesting to me, particularly with Conte, but I actually see these parallels with Pep sometimes and Klopp. these qualities of being a hard manager, sticking it to the players, holding them responsible, holding them accountable. These are things that everybody lambasts Mourinho for.
Oh, I didn't lambaste him for it. I just said it's how he does it. It's how he does it. No. Here's the thing, Mourinho. Mourinho's manipulative. Mourinho says and does things in a way that isn't really straightforward. He isn't like, hey, here's calling Dele Alli his you're not Dele, you're his brother. Weird situations where he's manipulative. He did it to Luke Shaw. Same thing.
I don't disagree with that, but I think the Dele example is the wrong one to use.
It's an example. Maybe it's the wrong one, but he's
and he put his shoulders around Dele, and Dele was starting, and Dele was performing, and then Dele just started to not like he gave everything to Dele, and then he had to put Dele on the bench because Dele was not performing.
Fair.
And it's not Mourinho, it's Dele.
Fair, but there's something different about what Conte does to what Mourinho does. Conte's going to come in and it's going to be no holds barred. It's going to be literally, here's what I expect of my players, here's the details, and here's how we're going to do it. And if you train really well and you show that you are capable of doing these things, you have a potential to play. If you don't, you don't play. Straightforward, no weird kind of mental tactics or stuff that he did to what he did to Luke Shaw. Incredibly strange for me. Not the way he talked about him in the media in a way that made him really embarrassed. Like, you don't do that to players. You don't call players out in an interview.
I have seen call players out. I have seen Klopp call players out. I have seen Conte call players out.
Okay, well, maybe that's true. Maybe I'm misguided. Maybe I'm just enjoying this moment a little bit more than I should be. How about that?
For Mourinho than there is for the other managers.
Fair enough. You know what? But Brian, before we kick on, I want to welcome Bobster to the channel. He's
it's a brilliant substitution because I'm dying for a cigarette.
Yeah,
so I'm going to go downstairs for a cigarette, and then I'll be straight back in.
Fair enough. And then but before we get on to the next pick, because there's a bunch of questions still going on and everybody's having chats, I want to know, Bobby, your thoughts on Antonio Conte as the next Spurs manager. It looks like it's a done deal based on Twitter. Yeah. Everybody's going bonkers right now. What do you think? Are you, we've chatted about it a bit. Like, is this the right thing? Does he get backed? All those other sort of obvious questions that go along with it.
First of all, Brandon, big fan, wicked mate, big up, coming Spurs. It's only a good appointment if he's backed.
Right, which we chatted about a lot.
Bringing a Conte in if you're not going to back him.
Does Conte sign that though if he isn't going to get backed?
There's no way he's accepting. There's no way he's accepting this job, especially to go walking away from it. If he's not been given the full backing, if he's not been given his tools, i.e., a big paycheck to spend in Jan and spend in the summer, there's no way he's accepting it.
Yeah.
And with Levy, he can't afford any more negative press. He can't afford any more negativity from the fans. And Conte's the sort, if he'd been promised something and the board don't follow it through, Levy doesn't, he won't think twice before calling him out in the media. He'll sit there and say, yeah, we performed shit. I was promised X, Y, Z. Just like he likes calling players out, like Brandon just mentioned. He'll call Levy out. He will call the board out.
He literally would be like, yeah, he didn't back me, right? Like that.
Yeah, exactly. And Levy can't afford that. Yeah. So for him to come in, it has to, the penny hopefully has dropped with Levy and Inigo thinking, look, I could just imagine the phone call after Saturday when the stadium basically shouted Levy out. It was like, Lewis, we're in the shithole, mate. We need to get this fucking sorted right now before it gets worse. And
this could end very poorly, essentially, right?
Exactly.
If it's not done.
And Conte is only the right appointment if he's allowed to do what he wants, bring his own men and spend the money. Yeah. Yes, there's no long-term future, but sorry, after 41 years of supporting Tottenham, I'm greedy. I want success now. I want it now.
Yeah, I honestly could give two shits about long-term. I want to be happy next weekend for the first time in a while.
Exactly. You know what I mean? If a trophy, the success start coming in, hopefully the board will do what they should have done is build on it. Reinvest,
right?
Yeah. Build on the slight success that we've surely were getting, rather than sit back and think, job done, let's see how it goes. They need to kick on. This time, if we get success, it's very likely with Conte, if he's given the right tools, there's every chance we're going to be successful, and it's all the case. Building on it, taking advantage of it, taking advantage of the clout, not sitting back and thinking, yeah, we're officially the second best team in Europe and do fuck all about it. No. we're going to gain success. We're going to be successful. Let's build on it. Let's get the players in. Let's spend the money. Let's not shy away. And let's make Spurs what we all want it to be, a successful fucking club. And a successful club needs a successful manager. Conte's the right fit. It's up to the board now.
100%. I'll start with you, Brandon, on this question. What players are more scared, or the most scared out of any players currently in the squad that should expect to probably have to look for a new club in January?
The same cats that was on the list before.
I know, but I just want to talk about it a bit.
Dyer.
Winks.
Yeah, no, Winks was the first person I mentioned. Winks.
Yeah.
Winks, Dele, and Dyer are the number one people on the chopping block.
I want to say about Dyer though. Dyer, despite Dyer has brain farts, right? Like that's his biggest issue. Dyer is like a reasonably good. It has been reasonably good this season.
Squad player, but Dyer has limitations.
I agree, and that's my point. He can't when a ball is over his head, he doesn't know where it is. Like he can't turn his body.
Sanchez before you sold Dyer, or the other way around?
I'd sell Dyer before I sold Sanchez.
Okay.
I think especially if you're going to play 3 at the back. Sanchez in a 3 at the back on the right side of a 3. You know, him and Tanguy could sort of not Tanguy, him and Tanganga could sort of fight for that position of that right side of the 3. I think Tanganga and him were both perfect for that position. With Yan and Toby, when we played 3 at the back with under Poch, he was incredible. It was a different player. You know, when he gets into 2, he gets confused. He doesn't know how to function. So Sanchez for me is better than Dyer and has more upside. Dyer, I think, is just kind of I think he needs to go to Burnley or something.
I'd sell Doherty quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bobby, what are your thoughts on who do you see going out quickly? And it's a case of January, right? Like this team needs to transform quickly. Like it needs to go. It needs to happen fast. And I know that's a hard thing to do, especially in football. It's just generally, it's like, oh, you got to get players in, you got to players out. I've been on this channel and I've said before, it takes time to do a rebuild. It does. But when you bring in Antonio Conte, you're not doing a rebuild. You're doing a Conte build. What do you need? Let's give it to you. So what do you think we'll likely see in January?
Well, I think we'll find out more about the players than Conte, because Conte will go in and say, right, expect X, Y, Z. If you can't do it, get the fuck out. There's going to be some players who rise to that challenge and some players who shirk. And I say exactly what Brendan said. Brendan said the likes of Winks, the likes of Doherty. He'll know he would have seen. He knows what he's letting himself into. He knows who's good enough and who's not.
I don't think there's a whole lot more for Conte to learn about this squad.
It's pretty obvious, right? It's the same players we've had for like 5 years.
Exactly.
You know, it's
the same
not
players who let Poch down, the same players who let Jose down, the same player who let Nuno. They're still there. They're still there. Conte has left the Premier League and he's and with Tottenham
gone and won a title.
And he's gone one title and he's come back and what 70%, 60% of the players are still there at Tottenham. Yeah. He's not silly. He'll know who are the guys to get rid of. But like I say, it will come down to who he wants to bring in as well. And we cannot stay, we being the board, cannot stand in his way. Let him do his job because he'll bring you success. He will bring us success.
100%.
We're still in full competition, by the way. We're still in full competition. 5 points off top 4, quarterfinals of the League Cup. Still in the European Conference Champions League. What I like to call it.
I think fourth place is there.
Fourth
place is there for the taking right now. Yeah. Like it really is for any team that is sort of in that mix. You know, under Nuno, we're finishing 7th, 8th, like on a good day. Like that's the highest. Antonio Conte comes in, and this team with him managing it, there's a chance for that top 4, at least at the very least 5th or 6th. Brian, I have to do the same thing you just did, so I'm going to let you take over for a bit. I'll see you guys in a sec.
Yeah, no. So I'll just add what you were saying about the players. I'm so delighted about this, and it's not. I'm not even bothered. I am bothered about players coming in, but I'm just happy that the days of the Deadwood and the Poison just taking the piss out of managers, well, those days, they're over. I bet you Dele Alli isn't doing a video right now saying tap your cap if you're happy. That's not going to be happening. Everyone in that squad now is like, oh shit, here we go.
We'll thrive on it, Brian. You know, the likes of Højbjerg, the likes of Kane will be like, yes, bring it on. Romero, they'll be like, come on, man, let's get in there.
This is the question, and I'll go obviously to you, Brandon. We'll go Brandon first. I said on We Are Tottenham TV today, is the first thing that he should do to show that he's taking no prisoners and times change is appoint a new captain. And the reason I say that is Hugo at the moment has got 6 months left on his contract. We don't know if he's been offered one. We don't know if he's not going to. There's no commitment there, whether that's on his part or the club's part. When Højbjerg was in his last 6 months at Southampton, they stripped him of the captaincy because he wouldn't commit and gave it to Ward-Prowse. I think the biggest thing he can do right now to say, right, these days done, is put someone, like you just mentioned, Bob, Pierre, as the captain, because we know whether he's performing well or not, he has got the attitude, he has got the physicality, he's got the respect, he's got everything. And I think the biggest way that he can give all those players a smack around the head is say, right, new captain, new ideas, new everything. What do you think, Brandon?
I don't think that's a bad idea, but only if he has some information about Lloris. I think if he knows, either he's had a conversation with Lloris, so he knows whether he's going to be re-signing or not, or or if he knows that he's leaving. Like, and he said, we're moving on, we're resetting things. But if you don't, I probably wouldn't do that to Lloris, because I think Lloris is one of the people who have the mentality that you need, actually. So I would be careful with that one. Guys, though, that's my time today. I gotta head.
No worries, Brandon. No worries. Absolute pleasure, brother.
Pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
Brandon, thank you so much for coming on, mate. We'll be in touch soon, but thank you so much, Brandon.
Take care, guys.
Cheers, buddy. We'll be in touch.
Peace later, buddy. Brian, same question to you. Would you look to appointing a new captain?
By the way, have you had Fabio Romano's Here We Go? You've read it out?
Yeah, we did. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, we haven't got to Bobby. We'll do Bobby, then obviously we'll come to you. Bobby, what would you do when it comes to captaincy?
I've said this before, mate. Lloris, there's no point in my eyes. If it's his last season, if he is going to go, mate, he's probably the same boat as Kane. He could have gone to bigger, better teams while he was there. 10 years. Nearly 10 years at a club, and he's been through the thick and thin, and he's had highs and lows like every other player. But for me, do we as a club represent as someone who can take a captaincy off our goalkeeper who's been there for nearly a decade and give it to someone just because of last season? I think it will just lack so much class. It honestly would. Let him have it. Let him have his swan song. If he's going to leave, if he's going to stay, Lloris for me hasn't done anything to. If he's going to lose it, he should have lost it after his drink drive ban. That for me is as a club we could have taken a stance and said, you know what, we're a bit bigger than that. See you later. But to do it now, just because someone else has come in and talks a bit more and leads a bit more on the pitch because he does. Nah, man, we're bigger than that. We've got a bit more class. It'll just lack class for me to do that to Hugo. I just don't think he deserves the captaincy to be taken off him. Obviously, Højbjerg and Lars Romero are captain material, and they will be. But I wouldn't take off Lloris right now. No.
Do you know what makes me laugh? Bryce, I was just going to say this just before you come up with yours.
Because I have like a different opinion. I'm excited to chat.
Yeah, I just want to say very, very quickly, it's taken literally within minutes of that tweet that certain people that like to spam and do all the trolling and everything to come up to me and go, still protesting. And I'm like,
oh God, so annoying. Screw those guys.
It's like literally, listen, there's a decision that's been made and it's a huge step. Yeah. It's a huge step forward. Let's see if he gets the money in January. Let's see. It's a huge start, and Bob Spur will get Bob Spur to say what he's been saying on pretty much every stream, and a message very, very close to Mike that really struck a chord with me. But we'll do that after you're saying, Brian. But just these people straight away still protesting.
Just ignore them. Just ignore them. They're not saying anything important. I think the key thing for me when it comes to a captain and when it comes to especially bringing in a new coach, it isn't necessarily to say that Lloris hasn't done a good job and that he doesn't deserve to be captain. It's just that you need a different focal point of leadership, and you could almost take the pressure off Lloris and just let him do his job. And you could say that. You could say, listen, Lloris, this is not to say that you haven't done an incredible job, but we don't necessarily need you to be focused on that anymore. Keep doing what you're doing. You're an incredible, really, really good keeper. You've done everything you could possibly do for this club, but you could also just relax and be a goalkeeper. We need it for my type of the way I play, Conte, and the way he wants to play. This is this position is more important to me, to have somebody in the part of a pitch that can get the message across the pitch, so that we all are on the same page. That I don't think that takes anything away from what Lloris has done, nor do I think that it isn't classy. I get Bobby's point, because I think if it was done under Nuno without good reason, I would agree completely. But I think under Conte coming in, and Conte really needing to go, this needs a shakeup properly. Like, in a proper shakeup is going, I want the person who I think should be the captain to get the captaincy. And that, who knows who that could be? I don't know which player, if it's Højbjerg, if it's Romero, whoever he might decide on. But I think the club needs a shakeup, the whole club, and that especially includes the club captain. You have to make difficult decisions. It's going to seem mean to some extent, because he's done such an incredible job as a captain, but I think it's time. I think it's time to be like, wipe that shit clean. Start with a new somebody with a different head on the pitch, who's going to give a different leadership and a style, and change what's happening, because it hasn't worked for as long as Lloris has been there, other than for that short period of time under Pochettino, which was arguably because of Pochettino. It doesn't change Lloris's qualities. It changes how we approach what we do as a club, and bringing in new blood. You got to bring it. It's the same as transfers. You bring in new blood as a captain, not because Lloris hasn't been a brilliant captain. It's because we need a fresh idea. We need a new way of doing things. And I think it would be the smart thing to do. It has to be done well, and it has to be done with class, saying like, look, Lloris, we still want to keep you. We'll sign Lloris on a contract. Give him another year, or whatever he wants. We'll give you whatever you want on a contract basis, but we need to make a shift in mentality and leadership. And that's what this club has been desperate for a long time. And I have no issue with it whatsoever.
Yeah.
There we go. So it's interesting. It's very, very interesting times. Obviously, we've heard the words that we wanted to hear. And now it just
by the way, Karen Gilbert, so are we. It hasn't changed that. And this is the point Brian was just trying to make. There's people like, oh, so what do you say now? This is a desperate decision from ENIC and from Levy to bring in one of the best managers in the world. He was available in the summer. The failure of bringing in Nuno and not bringing in a Conte when we had the opportunity to previously, it shows the failure. It only relates it more. It doesn't make like they've all of a sudden got it right now. It's just like, oh, you realize you're a total twat and you made bad decisions. That's what we're looking at here. You know what I mean? Like, Eddie, what's up, buddy? That's the point here. It isn't like, oh, now the Levy are amazing because they're trying to make up for the shitty decisions that they made. That's what we're looking at here. Now, having said that, it means that arguably we're going to get a good result out of it, and it sucks that it took this situation to get to this point. But I don't think there's anybody who has said like, oh, what do you say now about ENIC out? Still ENIC out, still Levy out. They're fucking cunts. They're failing miserably at this job. If Conte saves them their job and then they shift into making better decisions because of it, then maybe that idea will change. But until then, until there's evidence of that happening, it's still ENIC and Levy out.
I'm going to let Bobby take over here.
Bobby, go ahead, brother.
Been saying anything on streams today, and it couldn't round this up any better from anyone. So Bobby, for the 389th time today, take it away.
Brian should have a tattoo on his ass. Oh no, not that.
No, that's the other one. It's the other one, Bobby.
It's the other one. Sorry. First, right? There's. It all started back once upon a time. It all started back when Ben from We Are Tottenham TV went out with his little sign saying Levy out a few months ago, nearly a year ago, and about 6 or 7 people turned up. But you know what? Sky Sports got hold of him, and it made the media. We went to the ESL protests, so I did, and again, not many people turned up, but Sky Sports were there, and they got that face mask of Levy's clown, what Stell wore, became prominent, and it became a topic. Then Brian came over from Canada and did exactly what he said he was going to do: go to every protest, make it prominent. Again, turn out not great at times, but you know what? It made the media. It made people take note. Streams like we all did. I got pro Levies on my stream, and we had a dialogue, something they've never had before. They looked at Levy outers, Lineker outers, and thought, "You fucking dickheads." But you know what? We also managed is conversation, dialogue, opinions shared, and it was surprising. And we had a very own Ian, who was on one of my streams. He was surprised by how much he had in common with the Levy outers, and he's not a Levy outer. And he's surprised by the intelligent conversation and the healthy debate everyone had, and realizing that we all want the same thing from Spurs. So that's another challenge that we managed to not only face but not win necessarily, but get objectified and certainly made most of it. The biggest win we've had so far, and this is step one, by the way, is any other time, if these protests that Brian had been at the forefront of and spent nights, days in the rain, in the wind, in the snow, not snow, but
England weather, like just
If he hadn't been at the forefront, I guarantee you, not many things you can guarantee in life, the chance of the weekend would have been Nuno out. Not Levy out, but Nuno out. But the pro Levies, the Levy outers, it's been at the forefront for so long within Twitterverse, YouTube, on the streets. It's been at the forefront. It's been there on everyone's, in front of everyone's eyes, in front of everyone's minds. And that's why, straight thing, Levy out. And you know what? Big up Brian Daigle, big up Ben, big up Stel, big up every YouTuber, but especially Brian, who's been there from start to finish. You've fucking got step one out of the way, and you can stand back. And you know what? You can do that. Job done. You can go back to Canada. I was going to say Canada there. You can go back to Canada and think, you know what? I've done something. I came here to do something, and I've done something, and to make that parasite look like a parasite. Big up.
Bobby, honestly, Brian. Sorry, man, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Brian sent me the message that you had sent him earlier, and I mean, it was moving. It was just like Brian is like, he's just an inspiring fellow generally. Who he is as a human. He's a wonderful guy, and to be so adamant about something and to stick to your guns and to do the things you said you're going to do and to show up. I mean, that's what matters, right? Like, that's what matters when you as being a human, is to do those things. And Brian's done that really, really well. And he's inspired a lot of people, and he's shown a lot of people, including myself, the obvious, what I now would consider obvious situation that Spurs were in as a club. And I went from being like, not necessarily on the fence, but just maybe not understanding the situation as well as I needed to going, oh shit. Yeah, you're right, dude. This is a mess. I'm like I just said a minute ago, I'm proudly still Enoch out and Levy out, because I think the shambles that they've just, even in this situation, now that they've arguably hired the third best or one of the three best managers in the world, it's only because they were forced to, because of their incompetence. That needs to be considered and remembered, because if it does go awry and it does go poorly with it, Conte, is we have to be right there again and say, look, we've seen it again. Get the fuck out of our club. You clearly don't know what you're doing. Now, if Conte comes in and he's given what he's supposed to be given, and there's a shift in how this ownership decides to deal with this club, and to understand that you're doing it wrong, you need to do it better, and this is the right way to do it, then good on them. And I think all of us who are Enoch and Levy out will say, hey, you know what? Yeah, they proved us wrong. They made a shift in decision, and people are capable of doing it. And they made a good decision in appointing this manager, and we've gotten the best out of it. And the club is in the right direction. Before that happens, though, it's going to be, you know what? I don't trust you. I still don't trust you. I trust Conte, because I've seen what he does when given the backing. He's a winner. He gets the shit done, and I can trust Conte, and we can trust Conte without trusting the board and without trusting Levy, and maintain that. If you understand the reality of the situation, they are separate things. We can back the manager, and we can back what that manager's doing, and we can still be like, you guys are fucked. Don't fuck it up. So just maintain that, folks, and don't just be, it's great. Let's be happy for now, because we've got a great manager, and we've got an opportunity here to put ourselves back in contention for things that matter to us, football related things, but don't take your eye off the ball. Go ahead, Brad.
Yeah, I'm going to go on a bit of an emotional one in response to all of you that's just been said, sir. First of all, yes, I'm getting a lot of well done, Brian, because obviously I've been saying this for over a year. I'm a prominent face, if that's the right word, in the Tottenham YouTube community. I've been this way from day one. Before I met Bob Spur, when I did my first stream with you on your pod, Brian, I've been like this for 14 years.
I know.
And I've had this platform to do it. There's people like, there's a guy I'm going to highlight now that Bobby got to meet on Saturday, whose name is Graham, who has been at every single process with me. He has been a season ticket holder for a long time.
55 years.
He's turned up at every single protest. And he is part. We know that I'm part of Change for Spurs and part of Enoch Tadera's Too Dear, and I proudly associate myself with them. I proudly stand with them. There are a lot of great guys and women in those groups that have done so much work behind the scenes at organising things or printing statements or organising social media, getting the meets together. They deserve a lot of credit because obviously Bob Spur is in that with me, and they do a lot of work behind the scenes. Like I said, again, it comes to me with this platform. There's We Are Tottenham TV, who obviously, as Bob Spur said at the beginning, as soon as the Super League started, they are the biggest YouTube channel that have actively come out and really gone for the jugular, not worried about, oh, it might affect my relationship. We say that channels are for the fans. We Are Tottenham TV epitomizes that exact thing. They've let me come on and I have bitched and I have moaned and I have gone and then obviously traction grew. For everyone else that was at the process, whether you're part of the groups or not, it's you as well. The people, the other YouTubers, Bob Spur, Will, Tottenham Away, our original channel. Look, Spurswasion, I could go on. Holly, who
Holly's in the chat, by the way.
I know she's in the chat. Holly's there. Chelsea Spurs, because I can see Rez is in the chat.
Yep.
All these channels have done it, but also it's not just that. It's the wonderful people that are in the chats that follow us, not just me. I mean, follow the YouTube community. Incredible people like my diamond. I don't think she's in here. Sue Smith. You got everyone, all the regulars we have in this chat.
There's so many to mention.
Ellie, there's so many. Wayne Bonners, I'm just saying names. Adam. There are so many people. Matthew, who's in the chat. There are so many. Obviously, Danny Kiriakou, a brother that I'm going to miss dearly, like everyone when I fly back. But not just in this chat. It's people that haven't been able to get to the protest because they don't live in the country, or it's far to travel, or they've had other commitments, who have also tweeted it. And not just tweeted their verdicts, retweeted all of ours. So it gets out to as many people as possible. And as I said, when I first...
David and Maddie, for sure, two huge ones.
Yep. Irish Hotspur. We could carry on going on. And especially Matt Hayes as well. Matt Hayes, when I got onto Matt Hayes, I felt like I'd won the lottery. And obviously, Maddie Hayes. The people retweeting, and like I said, when I first started coming on YouTube, a lot of people in the chat were like, "Oh, this fucking idiot," or "He doesn't know what he's talking about." "Oh, his agenda his hatred for this man has gone so far, he can't see the wood from the trees." But after I did the 20-year Enoch one, where I went completely, utterly mental, and people still gave me a lot of grief. But when the Super League happened, I started getting a lot of credit in the bank, so to speak. People started realizing, and then over the last few weeks, not just when I've been on streams, but to see the chats, a majority going from Enoch in or Brian doesn't know what he's talking about to Enoch out, Levy out. This is just a huge victory for the fans that wanted change. And whether you can get to the protest or not, like I've been saying the whole time, the battle was going to be won over social media. That's where it was going to be won, because we're not in the sugar days where there is no social media. I'm so humbled by everything that's coming my way. But like I said, it's not just me. It's a huge collective. Now, like I said, the moment I heard Levy out in the stadium, like I said at the beginning of the show, that was like literally, I can't even I thought when I walked up to the stadium with Danny the first time and I looked down and saw the stadium for the first time, that was going to be my moment that I took from the trip for Tottenham. Oh no. Hearing Levy out, and not just pockets, a huge amount of it was incredible. And like Bob's person, there is no coincidence that all this has happened since that substitute when it was firmly directed his way. So it's everyone in the ground that was singing it. If people are watching it, also I've left out another group that we would proudly become a proud member of, the Oda Efasa group. I know there's a lot of people in the chat from there.
Daryl Lucas and Elaine Bing. Yeah. Go ahead, Bryce,
who were on there, but there's quite a few of the people in the chat that are members of that group now. I've only been a member of that group since after we done the 2 Bryans on Friday.
Week and a half ago, yeah.
Not even that.
Yeah, week
and a half, and the support from there, and obviously there's 17,000 members in that group.
Great
and
group.
They've been active as well. So that group as well, with 17,000 people, Facebook groups and other things where they've wanted to come out and have their say, but there's other channels that won't allow the talks that we all have on our channels because they're worried about getting tarred with the, oh my God, you're part of the Levy out brigade. Oh, you're what's ruining the club.
It's just perception, right? And like they get judged, so they feel like they don't, like it's not good for their.
It's just a huge victory for absolutely everything. But like we said, it doesn't stop. He's done one thing.
I got to share something here because I think this is fantastic. Let me just see if I can get it. Find it here. Oh man, keep talking. I keep talking. Sorry.
Yeah. It's step one, Brian. And you know what? Like I said to you, if what we've done, you've done more especially, has meant that Levy heard that chant and shut his pants. And he thought, we need to do something. We need to get. If it's led to Nuno being sacked, and in my eyes, he did exactly what he was capable of. I'll still stand by that. Nuno didn't fail. The board failed when they appointed him. He should never have been offered the position. So Nuno, in my eyes, cannot fail. Here we go.
Just wanted to share, Sim's reaction to this. Because it's in the middle there. That's Simmy having a pint, just enjoying, a little bit of fun from today, and hopefully, fun for the rest of it. Just wanted to add that.
Is it Malaga as well? Is it Malaga?
He is, because he is. The last time when this Conte deal fell through, Sim actually put a tweet on We Are Tottenham TV saying, what's happening at Daigle's house right now? And it was someone smashing a house up. So to see Simeon doing that is brilliant.
He's on vacation, I think like he's enjoying his vacation now. He gets to sit back and relax a little bit. Again, we're not saying everything's hunky dory, but something that's been happening to the club today that is we've all been expecting or wanting to happen to the club for a long time is doing the right thing and appointing the right manager and backing them. That's what it is perceived to be.
That's what
all we want.
That's what's happened, and like I say, all this is geared towards Levy out, mindset out, their ambition.
Yeah,
where it is out. Is all and that's always been the mission. That's always been the mission. And like I say, step one has been done. And if it means they've sacked Nuno, brought Conte in, and Conte's not coming in without any assurances, that's 100% guaranteed. It means there's been a slight mind shift, a bit of a change in ambition. Conte's going to get a bit of money. Hey, step one has been completed, and fucking well done, Brian.
Yeah, and let's hope. 100%. Well done, Brian. Well done, everybody who's involved in it.
I just wanted to finish up because the reason why we're not stopping is if we do this and just sit on our laurels now, he's going to think, right, I've shut them up now. That I've done. This needs to continue to make sure that this kind of thing continues.
Yep.
This is what we have got to do. Danny, I would love to go grab a beer, but being a 13-year-old a 13-year-old drive.
That's what Sporting Spurs does to you.
Your memory goes out the fucking window. You don't even know what's happening.
Being 13 years sober, believe me, Tottenham almost driven me to drink on many occasions. That's not. I might have an alcohol-free. I might treat myself to an alcohol-free, but like I said, this has got to continue. To keep the pressure on him to make sure he knows every single thing you're doing is being monitored and he knows now that we're not going to allow it to happen. So that's why it's got to continue. And let's see in January if we get the Antonio Conte type of targets or we get potential. Because Conte doesn't sign potential, he signs finished articles.
Some of the rumors, Brian, on Twitter at the moment that are obviously Twitter's going crazy. So some of those rumors on Twitter are that he's going to be given 150 million in January. Of course, rumors are rumors, and that's maybe not necessarily the best thing. Spending money in January, that kind of money is risky as it is. But if his pull is enough, and he does potentially have that pull, which we know because of his who he is as a manager, that 150 million can go a long way. You could bring in 2 or 3 really, really incredible players that could go take from where we are, this mid-table sort of team trying to figure out what the fuck's going on with no identity, to a team that is like really under his eye, like where I see us going. And of course, it's not gonna be perfect because you can still have some of the deadwood, but that kind of money, 150 million in a January transfer window with Conte leading the ship, it's a massive situation. That's a very, very different Tottenham Hotspur in the new year than what we're seeing currently.
Exactly. And Brian, Brian Ireland.
Or just say Brian.
Brian.
It's easier. You don't have to worry about it.
150 million given to Nuno in the summer will be all right. Nuno's been given some money because we're struggling. We're not winning games properly. We ain't got a structure about us. So here's 150 million. We're going to get about 8 or 9 players, 4 from the Championship, someone from there because we need a defence. We're really weak. We need a backup striker. We're desperate. We've suddenly gone from that to, here you go, Mr. Conte, Mr. Winner, 150 million pounds. Right. So I've got 150 million pounds. I've got a team 5 points from top 4. I've got quarterfinals in the League Cup. We're still in the FA Cup, and we're still in the European Champions League, as I like to call it, Conference Champions League. There you go. There's a mindset. The mind shift has changed from Nuno being given money because we're desperate and we need to, plug some leaky holes. To Conte being given 150 million pound to go out and make this team a winning team. Complete change.
It's a total change for sure. And Kim B mentioned, hey Kim, welcome to the channel.
What's up, Kim?
I don't often give Levy credit, but this was a power move. I don't think it was a power move. I think it was a power move by Conte. I think it was like literally Conte's going, if you want me there, I'll show you what to do. Not Levy going like, I'm going
this. Can you give me this?
Levy did it out of desperation, recognizing his position is untenable. That's what happened. It wasn't Levy doing a power move. No, I'm happy to have you here, Kim, and that wasn't me taking the piss. It's just sort of pointing out the reality of the situation. It does come down to the club getting to a point of desperation, and then hopefully the people, particularly I think Paratici, who I'm hoping deserves credit in this situation, because I think some credit. I think, Bob, I want to hear you out, but I want to hear you out, but let me finish my point. I think Paratici, when it came to this specific situation, I think he made an error when it came to Nuno, and of course that's relatively obvious. But when it came to his relationship, first of all, because he has one with Conte and had one at Juventus, and they'd worked together previously, I'm pretty sure he had an effect on how Conte would decide to do what he wants to do. And he probably said to Levy, look, if you want this manager, you have to give these things up. If Paratici isn't in that situation and it's just Levy and Conte, and you remove Paratici, this doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. You do not see Conte come in under Levy without a director of football. It would never happen. That's my point.
Paratici for me, there's been a lot. This is against you, Brian, but there's a lot of people out there who want to pick and choose what they believe about Paratici to suit their own narrative. Apparently, Paratici had to convince Levy that Nuno was the right man by showing him videos.
I've heard that.
Of Valencia. This is the man for you. He was the first choice of Paratici, but he didn't have the balls or the guts to convince Levy at the beginning of the season. But after wasting a quarter of the season on a man that he had to convince Levy over, suddenly he's gone out and got Conte in, and you really think he's gone to Conte? Yeah, just ask for whatever you want. I'm right.
No, I don't. I don't think that at all.
He's gone in, said, go and see Levy, see what he can do. I'm sorry. I am still need to be convinced by a man who cannot fucking see we've needed a backup striker for God knows how long.
I don't think he didn't see that though. Bobby, I think that's misguided a little bit, and I get where your frustration comes in because it's obvious based on the fact that most of us recognize that's the case. Paratici came in to a club that's in disarray, which we all would accept. He seemingly attempted to try to do the best possible thing he could do based on the situation, and then arguably made some bad decisions in that process, but attempted to try to get some good players in, which I think he's done reasonably well. Romero's a good player.
We've had good players in, like we've had previous seasons.
Yeah. So he hasn't failed in that part of it, but I still think even though he was brought in, he's still having to convince Levy as all of these things are happening, because Levy, as we know, is a power hungry motherfucker who wants to control everything. And he's like, look, you hired me to do the job. You hired me to the job. What we decided on, and because of financial reasons, because we didn't want to spend the money on what Conte wanted, has failed. Now I'm going to tell you, this is what has to happen. I just think that, like, based on what we know about his relationship with Conte in the Serie A, that's more likely than him making bad decisions. I think he's smarter than that. I'm not saying that he hasn't made any bad decisions. I think he's smarter than that. I think we'll know for sure when we see what Conte has actually given, what that relationship actually means. But I think his relationship with Conte and what he's arguably been a part of doing here is more likely than what we like his failures as of hiring Nuno.
I don't think is done bad. I think there are some good things. What pisses me off is the whole Don title. He's not done anything for me to deserve that Don title.
I agree with that. I would agree with that for sure.
What's happened is
it's so nuanced. You can't just be like, oh, he's a Don.
In my humble opinion, it's not Paratici who's convinced Levy. Fan power has. That chant, don't underestimate that chant on Saturday night. That's what's convinced Levy to think, fucking hell.
So Bob, can I add to that a little layer on that?
And he's got to Paratici saying, right, go and get me Conte.
But let me add a layer to that. I think there's more to it than that. I think it's Paratici saying to Levy, do you hear that chant?
Could be.
Like, that's what I think. Like, this is the situation. So it's a combination of the two. But I don't think we're saying much different. Brian, you wanted to add something, brother?
No, the only thing, Bob and I have continuously refused to call this man a Don.
I've never said it once. I think it's absurd.
Not saying but there's a lot of people.
No, I know, but people do it. I'm like,
the only time he earns that title is
when we win the league with Conte and the players he's brought in.
It's not even if we win the league. It's in January. If we get Conte type players, like I said, the Finnish article, and it's not any of these. Okay, let's drag this out for 3 weeks and try and haggle whatever. If, let's say, I'm just going to say 2 names off the top of my head, and I don't mean these players specifically. Let's say Vlahovic and Skriniar come in. They come in, the deals are done rapidly. Like the Gareth Bale deal got done last season. That moved swiftly. If those deals happen without any stumbling blocks, without any haggling, and you see them 2 coming in, then you can say, do you know what? You fucked up with Nuno, but you brought in Conte, and let's face it now, we have a super manager in the upper echelons of world football with Pep and Klopp. Then, if he goes and backs him with the players and there's no normal nonsense with the transfers, then that's a giant leap towards that title, that mantle. Yeah. Until that happens, don't get me wrong, you got to remember Bob's favourite player that we signed and who we raved about, first person I heard raving about it, Romero. Let's face it, Paratici got Romero. No Romero. No Paratici. 1 billion% no Romero. Yeah. So that's the sign of what you can do. But look how long that deal took. The breakdown. That's all you know who.
Yeah, but that's true. I don't care how long it takes, as long as he gets over the line. And I think that's the difference. And that's what I was trying to point out. I think Paratici is having an influence on Levy that is getting Levy to do things that he normally wouldn't. And that's a good thing. That he hasn't hired him as a fall guy. I mean, he arguably did to some extent, but it seems to me that like Paratici isn't going to accept the role as a fall guy. He's going to go, you know what? You've hired me to do this job. Let me do my fucking job. And we're starting to see from some of the players that were brought in, but also the hiring of Antonio Conte. And I think you got to give him credit for that. Like you got to give Paratici credit, but maybe Levy is just kind of, he's on the cusp of going, oh God, I'm going to lose control, and that's hopeful.
I think what Blue Mountain says at 11:43. The chant was heard worldwide on primetime Sky TV. Levy will not want a repeat. Spot on.
Yep.
And I think we can't
bad for his business, right? Bad for his business.
No matter how it came about, maybe Paratici, made him aware. Maybe someone else or one of his execs. Levy would have heard that.
I think Levy's more upset than anybody else telling him.
I'll tell you what, Levy's
ego.
still hearing that. Levy's still hearing that.
He's sleeping. He's falling asleep going.
He's hearing that.
That's his life now.
If as a collective, and especially the guys who are protesting,
100%. I really think it's eating them up inside because they've failed. They've failed so miserably, and he's the reason. He's hired another guy to try to, there's talk in the chat saying that Paratici was hired to be the fall guy. You can only say that for so long when Paratici has done what he's done in other clubs, and successfully done it. Maybe not to the level that maybe other people might accept to be is the level it needs to be, but this guy's done really good things. He knows football, and you don't just hire a guy like that and then not give him the opportunity to be successful, or you're just going to look like an idiot. And so he's just going to look like an idiot, and for him, that's the worst possible situation because there's
no fooling anyone.
There's
now.
Nowhere. Yeah, he cannot. Yeah. He has nowhere to hide anymore. He's nowhere to hide.
Nowhere to hide. So if and Brian, cover your ears. If he is going to get any slight big up, or mate, you've put your balls on it now. Is disappointment because he's got nowhere to hide. He's got nowhere to run. He's got nothing to.
If this fails, he has to go immediately,
exactly.
And that's the level it's at.
That's the only thing. So Levy, it's on you now, mate. It's on you because everyone is watching. Everyone is watching.
The entire football community across the board from every club is looking at this going, you better get it right. You better let him do what he needs to succeed. Sorry,
so I was about to say the other layer you can put onto this onion, so to speak, is there is no way this deal has gone through without Joe Lewis being informed or mentioned or whatever. So obviously, so we don't even know because apparently Joe Lewis hasn't been. We don't see him all, but he has not been happy with the turn of the fans. He's tried to sell the club, but Levy said no. So obviously he is the big money man. And there's no way that this has been sanctioned without whatever chat has gone on with him. Yep. So again, you've got to look now. People are saying, obviously, we don't trust. It's whether we can trust Lewis as well, because he is a slimy. Absolutely, he's a weasel. So he has definitely signed this off. He has definitely promised things. I don't even know if Conte would have said, you know what, I want the transfer money in one of those holding accounts to show that it's there and it's available to me. So there's a lot. Obviously, I think tomorrow when we actually get this officially confirmed and we see his first press conference, I think then we'll get a lot more answers to our questions, unless Daniel Levy's got them pre-prepared and he's learning the lines right now. But I think you can say Conte won't be doing that.
Yeah, exactly. Conte won't do that. Conte won't do that. And it's a risk he's taking. Levy's taking. Now, like I say, if there's any promises made, and there will be promises, none of this gentleman's agreement bullshit, he would have to look into Conte's eyes and say, right, I am giving you. I wouldn't be surprised if he said, right, you're getting this player, we're going to go for this player, and we're going to go for this player because you want him. If there's any time, we've seen Conte do it, and he does make his position toxic at times against the higher beings. His players normally are okay. It's the higher beings. He will not think twice before sitting before the media, be it 5 games in, be it 10 games in, be it 20 games in, be it 2-3 years down, sitting there saying, well, I was promised this, that, X, Y, Z, and the board haven't seen it through, so what can I do?
This is why he's literally the best appointment, because he comes in and he points out everything that's wrong with the club across the board and has no problem saying it in the media. And if things go wrong and that there's potential for that, he's like, this is what happened. Here's why. He explains it and he goes, fuck you guys, I'm out. Like I love that. I love that. And that's what this club needs right now. We need somebody to put accountability on Levy. That's what he will do. He'll make Levy accountable. Levy is trying to avoid everything by blaming other people. Conte comes in and Conte goes like, you give me what I want. You signed off on it. You don't, I will tell everybody. It's like almost like, it's putting him in a position where he's basically like, I have no power anymore. That is so the best thing to go through for Daniel Levy.
And another thing, he's just before I go to you, I'll go to you. It's your show, but
hey, you can run it if you want for a bit.
He's been given the length of the contract. He's given the length of the contract, which basically Nuno left over. The 2 years under Nuno seemed so short because we knew it'd probably take Nuno 2 years to be the mediocre manager he is to bring Spurs to that level. He wasn't ever going to take Spurs to that level. He was always going to bring Spurs down to his level. Nothing wrong with it. He hasn't failed.
Not his problem, yeah.
But with Conte, he's a quick fix. He'll bring in players left, right, and centre if he's backed properly, and he will bring success to the club. And if he's only there for 18 months, I'll tell you what, he will leave, but he'll fucking leave a successful team behind him who the next manager, be it whoever it is, will take on.
He'll either leave a successful team, Bobby, or he'll leave a club that recognizes that the person who's in charge of that club needs to go, and it'll be obvious one way or the other. And that's he can't get past Antonio Conte's honesty if things don't go right. And I think that's a really great way to end the stream on that, because I really think that those are the two situations we're in, and really, really so fucking pleased that we have
just
a
real
nice proper
message.
management. Yeah, go ahead.
Just
Bobby,
a nice message from DJ Davis. I think says it all. Win-win for us. Either team succeeds or leave.
Exactly. That's the point. Simple version of the point I was attempting to make, and thank you for that for making it obvious, TJ. But yeah, I mean, it's that's the reality we're in. Tomorrow is a new day. Tomorrow is a new day where we go into the world with Antonio Conte at the training ground, and I just can't wait to see the look on the faces of those players who have been shit without any effort, who have been struggling to try to figure out what their career is going to look like, and also to the players who have been waiting for to be backed, like the Harry Kanes and the Sonnies and the Lloris as well. Those players who are looking to be like, hey, we've done all this so far, we want to go further, and now we have a manager who could take them there potentially. And of course, I'm going to be pragmatic about it. It doesn't mean it's done deal, it's going to happen, but it is the best chance we've had in a long time, post Pochettino especially, but just generally speaking, from a club, for our club to be seemingly ambitious, and I think that's just as poignant as I could put it. Seemingly ambitious is better than saying we're ambitious now, because we don't know yet. But the hiring of Conte is an potentially ambitious appointment if given the things he's supposed to be given. Brian, any last thoughts? And Bobby, I'll get yours as well before we sign off.
Thank you everyone for tuning in. Sorry about the mishap with the time difference, and I've been speaking about this topic all day today, literally from late
Since you
morning
woke up until now.
And so I'll be going to bed shortly to wake up to get back at the We Are Tottenham TV studios to
make sure you tune into that, by the way, for sure.
Have a very exciting chat with Ben, and obviously the callers and God knows what. And who knows, after that stream, if Ashley finds one, I might be getting a tattoo tomorrow. But tomorrow, or within the next 2 weeks in Toronto, I will be having the We Are Tottenham TV logo tattooed somewhere on me. So
and Brian and I, when he gets back, we'll be doing a special Two Brians episode in person again, because I haven't seen him for a couple of months, and we're looking forward to that. And maybe at some point Bobby's going to come to Canada and join us for one of those 100%. Episodes as well. But Bobby, any last words before we sign off? By the way, thanks for popping on, because we always, you are part of this channel. Maybe not officially, but just somebody we love having on. And, yeah, good mate, and trust everything about you, and would love to hear your final thoughts.
Yeah. But first of all, love coming on here. It's like chilling out with a couple of mates. I never feel like I'm going on somebody else's stream. It feels like I'm just popping around on mates and just chatting about shit and Spurs, which basically is the same thing. But
maybe not anymore.
Not anymore. We'll wait and see. Like I say, excited about Conte. Great first step, a success to an extent. What we've done, more importantly, what the protesters and Brian has done, and become and been at the forefront of everyone's minds. So step one achieved. It's up to Levy now. Conte will only be a success or a failure if Levy decides it's going to be a success.
100%, Bobby, 100%. And I think that's the great way to end it. I want to thank everybody who's been in the comments, everybody who's been with us normally, and everybody who's new. Please like and subscribe.
We're 10 away from 500.
Yeah, we're very close to getting to the 500.
Come on, boys.
So push that. If you're new, please like and subscribe. Like the video, subscribe. It's an absolute pleasure to do these shows, and of course, it's the club we love. And I want to thank Brandon for coming on as well, because he was brilliant, always brilliant. And we'll have him back again, and we're going to have some special guests. But thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Whichever way you consume what we do, and we'll see you again soon. Come on, you Spurs, and still. Levy out.
Levy out.
Levy out. Conte in. Come on.